Ow! Ow!
They've been waiting for a while. New Orleans has been waiting for a while.
It's about I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Being able to run as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Here we go. Goff from the gun to the touchdown. It is caught. Touchdown.
This is BS Sports.
Good evening, boys and girls, children of all ages, except if you are an actual child, in which case you should probably not be watching this show. And if you are watching this show, I'm going to tell your parents on you. I know them. We've talked. Welcome in. Welcome in. No Seth this week. Unfortunately, the Home Depot decided to take him hostage. So hopefully he gets that situation resolved. He's in communication with Lowe's and with Menards. So we'll see if maybe they can strike a deal there. But we got a good show today. We got a week of preseason football to talk about. I know it doesn't matter, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We got to recap what happened with the Lions this week. They ended up winning the game 21-16. Nice win over the Giants in your home stadium. Got some more stuff to talk about Mr. Jim Harbaugh. He's apparently not going to get suspended. We'll talk about it. And I got a question about Bill Belichick and about his is he with it? I mean, like I'm just gonna put it out there. Is he all there? Is he kind of just gone? Right? But I gotta start with the headliner. Okay. Look, this week, Lions, they went out and they played a football game. They beat the New York Giants in a comeback fashion. I will point that out. They came back and won that game. And there's going to be two angles I'm going to go with this, okay? I'm going to take a look at the box score. And the first angle I want to talk about the good, and then I'm going to talk about the not so good, and then we're going to go from there. So it's going to be a good time. So the good is pretty much all the rookies the Lions drafted, the ones that played, I should say, they pretty much played well. Take a look here, looking at the box score. So Jahmyr Gibbs had 6 carries for 19 yards. He also caught a pass for 18 yards. So he had a total of 37 yards to his name. He looked pretty solid. Consistently, when he was handed the ball, was getting yards. And this is him basically getting all the main handoffs. We know that he's going to be splitting duty with David Montgomery. And he was splitting some carries near the end, but by the time he was done by like at least the second quarter. And he had a big play. That passing play for 18 yards, you saw he made the catch and he gained about probably like 5 or 6 extra yards after the catch. So I was very impressed with Jahmyr Gibbs. Really good to see. And I think it just goes to show that when the Lions took him, they knew that the R&B next to his name was not indicative of the kind of player they were actually going to get. It's not like they're getting, DeAndre Swift again, right? They're not getting Jamal Williams. They're not getting, insert generally good running back with short lifespan. And I'm not going to comment necessarily on Jahmyr Gibbs' lifespan as far as how long he's going to be in the league. But Jahmyr Gibbs, he seems like he will be not just a running option to get you, solid runs, consistently 3, 4, 5 yards every time you hand the ball off to him. And that was also, by the way, with our backup linemen. So, like, with our backup linemen, we managed to give Jahmyr Gibbs 6 carries for 19 yards. So, about 2 first downs every 6 times he held the football. And I'm saying, like, with his pass catching ability, with his threat as a receiver, as much as it is with a running back, we're getting somebody much closer to a Deebo Samuel-esque player, a Christian McCaffrey-esque player. I know I'm talking about San Francisco 49ers, but talking about a guy who is not there to just be, a bell cow. He's not, who is the name of the running back? He's not Todd Gurley, exactly, right? And maybe he is going to be a dominant running back, but he also has that ability to use the pass threat of, actually being basically an extra receiver out there. And given how deep our receiver room already is, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Jones Jr., Josh Reynolds, Kylie Freeman, and you had Jahmyr Gibbs as basically a 6-man. And that's all. That's not even including any of the tight ends we got. We'll talk a little bit about them because it was in some of the not so good. But it just sort of adds to the offensive weapons that Jared Goff is going to have this season. And I think it just supplants for me, okay, you know what? Like, I don't really need to see Jahmyr Gibbs anymore this preseason. I'm sure he'll probably get a couple of snaps in this upcoming Jaguars game and then potentially in the Carolina Panthers game. But I don't really need it. It's fun. I like to see our first round pick, our first draft pick of this past draft to play as much as we can. But I mean, I don't really anticipate seeing too much more from him because we basically saw, okay, yeah, this guy, he's going to be a weapon. He's going to be a weapon for Jared Goff in this offense, which was already absolutely fantastic last year, and it's only going to get better, which I don't even know how that's possible. But it just is. So we're gonna hope for it. But the other thing I want to talk about positively was our other first round pick, Jack Campbell. So let me pull up the defensive stats here right now. So Jack Campbell had 4 total tackles. 2 of them were solo tackles, and none of them were technically TFLs. I think he stopped somebody on the line. It's like I think they didn't lose any yards, but they didn't really gain any yards either. He was also pretty good in coverage. I don't know what PD stands for. I don't passes deflected, maybe. I don't know if that's what that means. But there was some play where what was it? Tommy DeVito. I can just look at it, right? Yeah, Tommy DeVito was trying to pass the ball out for a first down, and Jack Campbell was on the receiver. I don't know who the intended receiver was, but he was on that receiver like white on rice. I mean, there was no way he was going to catch that football because Jack Campbell just said, no, not going to happen. But the bigger news in terms of Jack Campbell's performance was, and I'm not going to say that this is the end all be all, but PFF, if you follow it, Pro Football Focus, they gave him like a 90.6 rating, which was the highest among all rookie defenders, not rookie linebackers, not rookie linemen, not rookie cornerbacks, not rookie safeties, not rookies playing however many stats, rookie just in general. He had the highest defensive grade of all rookie players this past week, which again, to me, just continues to cement the confidence I have not only in those picks, but in this whole realm of like, why are you picking a running back? Why are you picking a linebacker in the first round? And it's like, well, look, if they're the best players, if they're the best fits, if they're going to make this team better, I don't really care if you pick them 15th or 115th. You pick a good player, doesn't matter where they are. If they're at the top of your board, if you highly rate them, hey, I'll take it. Like, I'm not going to be upset about it at all. But the other big pick here was from one Brian Branch, who was, in my opinion, one of the more, I don't know if he really got talked about that much more in the circles nationally or in the local Detroit circles. Brian Branch did a fantastic game. I mean, 3 tackles, all of them solo, one of them for a loss. The thing about preseason is when you're a rookie, especially if you're a not first round rookie. So Brian Branch was taken in the second round. We traded up to get him, I believe. I could be wrong on the round. I'm pretty sure it was the second round. Traded up to get Brian Branch. So you're already kind of like, okay, I'm not apparently, according to NFL GMs, I'm not a first round talent. So you need to kind of make a splash. And Brian Branch, he came in and he made a splash. I mean, that tackle for a loss, he came out like a bat out of hell. I mean, like, it was, I was like, wait, who just hit him? Like, Brian Branch just barrels through him. I mean, you can go back and look at the live broadcast that I did, the play-by-play, and you can see, I was like, what? Brian Branch just came in and he knocked the heck out of that receiver. I mean, like, they thought they had some room, and Brian Branch just comes in just like, it's like that meme of the guy from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the police officer. He just was like running, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, look there, and then bam, he sends him to the seats. So the thing about it was this defense looked really, really, really solid. I mean, the Giants' points, they scored 16, so you're like, okay, maybe how solid could it have been? Well, they scored 3 points in the second half. They scored just 1 touchdown the whole game. And the touchdowns and points that they scored, except for maybe a few of them, I don't exactly remember every individual. I don't exactly remember every individual scoring drive of the game, but a lot of their points they got due to some poor play offensively, namely in Nate Sudfeld throwing the ball to the wrong team, and resulting in them getting really good field position to where they don't really need to do much but gain like 4 or 5 yards in a drive and then kick the field goal to get 3 points. But the other person who stood out on this defense was Julian Okwara. Look at his numbers. 3 tackles, all of them solos, all of them sacks. He got nothing but sacks. I mean, this guy was just like a sack machine. And Julian Okwara, obviously the brother of Romeo Okwara, who was a pretty solid player for the Lions last year. And look, Julian Okwara, he's a guy who is sort of borderline. You weren't really sure what the Lions were going to do with him. If they were going to keep him around, if they were going to cut him. And look, he's fighting for his life. He's playing try hard. And look, I love to see it. He was collapsing the pocket, getting on the quarterback. It was the Julian Okwara show as far as sacks went. You also had some nice showings from guys like Jalen Reeves-Maybin had a nice play for a loss. Malcolm Rodriguez, he had a tackle for a loss. John Kaminsky had a tackle for a loss. And Romeo Okwara also actually had a sack. Levi Anzarike had a tackle for a loss. It was a lot of tackles for losses this game. There was a lot of TFLs, which are the big time plays that you need to see on defense because it's not simply about, necessarily making turnovers all the time. Because you're going to make turnovers, but they're not like always going to happen, right? I mean, it's not like you're constantly going to every single game getting a turnover. But what you could do, the big plays on defense, so it's like if the big play on offense is the deep throw that puts you in scoring position, even if you don't score, you're immediately putting the defense on a much tougher situation. And you're like applying pressure. The reverse of that would be the TFLs, would be the sacks, would be, anything like that. Anything in that realm where like the stuff like that, where you're just, as a defense, you are having the offense essentially waste or lose a play, right? So you play for no gain, basically just wasted the play if you're the offense. Play for a loss, you might as well have not had the play. You might as well have just taken a knee or spiked the ball, right? Because that would have been better than having run whatever play you did because the defense completely beat you. And look, that's going to be the story of this defense. And they last year, I mean, obviously we had Aiden Hutchinson with, 9.5 sacks. You had James Houston, who was a sack machine. And I believe James Houston also had a sack today. I believe, if I can find him. What, didn't he play? I know he played. Bugs. Why am I not saying James Houston? Maybe he didn't play. I'm not seeing him. Maybe he didn't play. I could have sworn he did. Huh. Well, the stats aren't on the box score, but I guess I'll stand corrected. Maybe he didn't play. But yeah, that's going to be the story of this defense. And we didn't really see any of the new secondary guys play. We didn't see CJ Gardner-Johnson. Didn't see Cam Sutton. Emmanuel Mosley, apparently, from what I've been hearing and reading, we don't even know if he's going to be ready week 1. So he's coming off the injury, obviously. And I really hope he's ready by week 1, but clearly they're, taking their time with him, which is fine. You're probably going to see Jerry Jacobs. I believe he's still on the team. I actually don't know. We dropped a lot of the secondary. So I'm going to imagine he's still on the team. I don't know. But if Emmanuel Mosley isn't in week 1, it's going to be unfortunate because that Chiefs team is going to be really tough without a solid corner like Mosley. But defense looked good. Jahmyr Gibbs looked good. Now we got to talk about some of the not so good. And I want to say the not so good with some level of caveat. Okay. So the big story is Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, read off his stats, and we'll go from there. 2 catches for 18 yards and no touchdowns. His long was an 11-yarder on 7 targets. And you look at those stats, and you're pretty much unoffended. You're like, okay, well, it's not great, but like whatever. It's not blowing you away, which is part of the problem. You kind of wanted him to blow you away. But the big sour note is Jameson Williams' big-time drop on a deep ball that would have been a touchdown. It really would have. No way about it. no ifs, ands, buts about it. It was a touchdown, and he dropped the ball. And that sucks. But I want to try to not spin it to be totally positive, happy-go-lucky, everything's great. But I do want to give the kid as fair of an analysis as I can give, okay? I'm not going to hate on you because you dropped one ball on when you caught okay. The box score says he caught 2. Technically, he caught 3. He also caught a 2-point conversion, and he did it looking pretty good. It was a one-handed catch. I don't know how he caught it, but he did. And so on the day, I wasn't like utterly disappointed in Williams, but I also wasn't particularly impressed, especially given that he just you have to catch that ball. It's not like it was overthrown. It's not like he got beat by the defender. It's not like, he had it and then it was knocked out or a flag came in or something. It was on your hands. And I'm sorry, but in the NFL, in professional football, I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if you're a practice squad guy. I don't care if you're a backup. I don't care if you're a starter. The ball is in your hands and there's no defender stopping you. You got to make that catch. Period. That's it. Like in the NFL, I can't do this, I'm a great receiver. The only problem is I can't catch the ball with my hands. Can't do it. This isn't college. You can't just expect you're going to be open every single time and basically catch a punt for a touchdown. It's just not going to happen. I mean, look, I don't care how you catch the ball. Just catch the ball. And the reality is the way that you catch the ball is going to be one of two ways. It's going to be you catch it with your hands or you catch it with your body. And you need to be able to do both. Like they teach you to catch it with your hands because that's just more practical, right? Most of the time, it's going to be the better way to do it. You're not necessarily always going to be in that situation. I don't care. I'm just saying, ball is thrown to you. It's off of your hands. You have to catch the football. You do. And look, there's a lot of talk about it, and I know that people are saying this totally ruined his night. This is the worst. Like he had, if he would have caught that ball, the entire narrative would have shifted, and it probably would have shifted. But my thing is, okay, it's preseason. Results don't matter. You managed to catch 3 other balls just fine. So here's the deal. Okay? You got 2 more games. I need to see you do a little bit more. Get some more. I mean, he had 7 targets. It wasn't like he didn't have enough targets. But I need to see you make a big play. I need to and not even like a 40-yard play. It doesn't have to be that big. Just show me a little something, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, okay? He caught a pass for 18 yards. That's not like blowing you away, right? That's not like, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer all of a sudden. But it is a play where you're like, oh, okay then. All right. I like that. I like to see that. That's a good looking play. And I just want to see that from Jameson Williams. And I really like Jameson Williams. It seems like there were some videos of it was him and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They were doing some sort of interviews with the media, and Amon-Ra St. Brown comes in with like a fake microphone and he's pretending to ask him questions. And they seem like they have a great chemistry. He seems like a fun kid. He seems like he really enjoys the game of football, which is great. I love it. I really want him to do well because he's such a fun player. Like the guy he is light speed. I need you to catch those balls, J-Mo. And look, he had a bad quarterback in Nate Sudfeld. And I don't want to just totally crap on Nate Sudfeld. He was not great, but he wasn't like, some people were going a little too far. He wasn't like the worst player ever. Like he wasn't the worst quarterback performance ever, but he wasn't amazing. Okay. You throw 2 interceptions. The first one on the first pass you throw to J-Mo when he's getting triple teams. Now that one, I'm like, okay, that's definitely not on J-Mo, right? Like that's what is Jameson Williams supposed to do when 3 guys are on him and you throw the ball basically a punt into the air for the defenders to just leap up and grab. That's not on Jameson Williams. And then the other interception was also targeted to Jameson Williams, and that was another ball that was not well thrown. If J-Mo would have caught that ball, if it was on target and everything, it probably would have been the play to make up for the drop ball. But what are you gonna do? Like it wasn't to be. So look, thing I'm looking for in Jameson Williams this week, though, I need to see him make a big play like that. A 20-yard play. I mean, like a 20-yard play, a deep ball, or just a regular touchdown. Just some sort of play where I'm like, oh, look at that. That's a nice play, Jameson. There you go. All right. We can maybe run you out for a quarter in the third game, or maybe we don't have to run you out. If you play out of your mind, if Teddy Bridgewater and Jameson Williams, because Teddy Bridgewater is almost certainly going to be playing that game, if Teddy Bridgewater connects to Jameson Williams for a fantastic play, like a 30-yard, 40-yard bomb, okay, all right, we're done. Put him in bubble wrap. He's going to be suspended for the first 6 weeks. We're good. Don't need to see any more. You can work on it in practice because then you're going to be suspended and you can rest a little bit and then work on it as you get back in during the bye week, and then we'll be ready to go. And hopefully you'll be a threat for Jared Goff. So, look, a lot to unpack, but overall, I look at this game for the Lions and I'm satisfied. I think this was a good game for Detroit. I think they ended up looking good. The rookies look good. Jameson Williams didn't look amazing. He had some solid catches, I guess, and the 2-point conversion was nice. But overall, just a good game from the team. Good stuff. Nate Suffield certainly shows why we signed Teddy Bridgewater, because he's not great, and Teddy Bridgewater is probably going to be much, much better. So looking forward to Mr. Teddy. And yeah, I think we'll go from there. All right. Now, speaking of football and things, got to talk about this. Jim Harbaugh, coach of University of Michigan Wolverines. Here's a report from Bleacher Report. Timothy Rapp. Report: Michigan's Jim Harbaugh's 4-game suspension rejected by infractions committee. Okay. Well, here is the statement. This was on Twitter or X. I guess it's now. It's called X now. I don't know what any of this is. I'm not on Twitter. This is a tweet from Nicole Arbach sent to The Athletic. Text message from Derek Crawford, the NCAA Vice President in Hearings Operations. So I'm going to read this and we'll talk about it. And I quote: "The Michigan infractions case is related to impermissible on and off-campus recruiting during the COVID-19 dead period and impermissible coaching activities. Not a cheeseburger." I just want to make that clear. Not a cheeseburger. It is not uncommon for a COI to seek clarification on key facts prior to accepting. COI may also reject an NR if it determines that the agreement is not in the best interest of the association or the penalties are not reasonable. If the involved parties cannot resolve a case through the negotiated resolutions process, it may proceed to a hearing, but the committee believes cooperation is the best avenue to quickly resolve issues, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, Jim Harbaugh managed to somehow get himself out of this suspension. One problem. He probably should have just taken the 4-game suspension. The reason I say that is because given now that this whole stupid cheeseburger thing, which I don't even know how this could happen, because there were very intelligent people, very smart people who are not usually, generally speaking, dishonest, just for some reason saying, "Oh my gosh, can you believe they're suspending Jim Harbaugh because of a cheeseburger?" When it's like, no, that's just not, I mean, it's not accurate to say that, okay? And I want to be charitable because I don't hate Jim Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh lied to NCAA investigators about things he did regarding recruiting that may or may not have given him a competitive advantage at getting recruits. Now, what I know a lot of people might say is, well, every team does this. Every team in the SEC does this. Nick Saban probably does this. Kirby Smart probably does this. Blah, 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 blah. I'm sure they do. That doesn't mean it's not against the rules, and that doesn't mean that you get to lie about it, and that also doesn't mean that if you get caught lying about it, that you don't deserve to get punished. And Jim Harbaugh is not going to get punished this year, but he will almost certainly get punished next year. That's from what I can tell from reading this article, and I believe it was yeah. So let's see. From Pete Thamel, sources caution that next steps are uncertain and Harbaugh's status to start the 2023 season or any potential suspension has yet to be determined. So what will probably happen is they're going to let him go through this season and then they will revisit this whole thing for next season. And I would imagine the penalty would be much stronger given this whole like rigmarole about cheeseburgers and making the NCAA look like a joke, which I mean, the NCAA just looks like a joke anyway, because they don't know how to enforce their rules and there's no commissioner and nobody knows what's going on. But, you know, it's like you don't lie to the cops because, I don't know, you have a bad opinion of police officers. You don't do that. You don't lie to the NCAA because you think the NCAA is stupid. I think the NCAA is stupid. I don't know what they do. I mean, like, this is just a genuine question to them. I don't even, what is their job? I mean, I really don't know. But the reality is you lied and you're going to have to pay the consequences. But the thing about it is Jim Harbaugh is poised right now this year to probably go on a national championship run. I would imagine at the very least they're going to win the Big Ten again because I don't really trust in Penn State. And Ohio State is going to have a new quarterback. And not like Michigan ever really had a problem with Ohio State recently, but I think we're looking at probably another Michigan Big Ten title, which inevitably means another playoff run. And the question is, are they going to be able to get it done? And I think it's very possible they could. I don't necessarily think it will happen. I'm not saying it won't. I just don't really know. I can't say definitively because, well, for one, Michigan has never won a playoff game, let alone go to a national championship, let alone win the national championship. So, with all of that being said, if Michigan fails to win it, or if they do win it, I wouldn't expect Jim Harbaugh to be back. I mean, if he's going to get suspended right after winning a championship, we know that he has had NFL aspirations, and he's been in the NFL before. People forget he was a coach for the San Francisco 49ers before he came to Michigan. And he actually went to a Super Bowl. I'm sure some people remember that. But with this situation, it's like it's very similar to someone named Pete Carroll. So Pete Carroll obviously had been the coach at USC. There was some rule breaking that might have been going on. I don't know what was going on. USC goes on these crazy runs, and Pete Carroll says, "You know what, guys? Actually, I'm gonna go work for Seattle." And Pete Carroll was never punished. USC was punished. Reggie Bush was punished, but Pete Carroll was never punished. And the question then becomes, how does Jim Harbaugh get viewed in Michigan? And now, if he wins a national championship, he could burn down, I don't know any of the buildings at U of M. I didn't go to U of M. He could burn down, I don't know, the U of M alumni building. I don't know what it's called. And they would just be like, you know what? He was a little excited. He was a little excitable. He that Jim. Sometimes he just commits arson. I don't know. It's an honest mistake. And I would say that if they win it all and he leaves, I'm trying to think of how I would react. I would probably react with, you know what, whatever. Like, I guess that's my thing. I guess for me, it's like, yeah, I mean, I wish you would have stayed, but I kind of get it. You're running away. You're running into the sunset. You finish the job. Now you're going to leave. That's fine. Now I prefer that none of this has to happen, and you could have just avoided this by admitting wrongness and taking the 4-game suspension, and we wouldn't have to deal with it. But didn't want to do that. They didn't like the 4-game deal, so he's going to play all year. He's going to coach all year. So, yeah, I would venture to guess that Mr. Harbaugh is probably of the mindset that he is going to run it back this year, and this is going to go all in. This is his all-in push where he's going to go for blood. He's going to go for blood, go for gold, what have you. And if it doesn't work out, if it doesn't work out, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be an interesting offseason for whether or not he's going to go to the NFL, because obviously there's always going to be openings in the NFL. Some coach gets fired every single year in the NFL. Question is what kind of coaches he would take over, because there's the Raiders. That's a potential hot seat. Who else? Maybe the Saints. I don't really know what their coaching situation is. Buccaneers. That's an option. I don't really know if their coach is going to stick around. An interesting one might be the Rams. So if the Rams have another really bad season, I don't really know what they're going to do with Sean McVay. I wouldn't imagine they would fire him, but it might be an interesting season. I'm not suggesting that's what's going to happen. Of the AFC, Kevin Stefanski, I believe that's his name, the Browns coach. That could be an option. If the Browns fail to live up to playoff hopes or anything this year, that could be an interesting option. You know what else might be an interesting option is the Ravens, which I think would be absurd because obviously the Ravens coach is John Harbaugh, who I think is absolutely fantastic. I think he's a great coach. So there would be no reason for them to fire him, but it would be kind of funny if he just ended up replacing his older brother there. Who else? Ooh, the Patriots. That's another one. We'll talk about Bill Belichick in a little bit. But that's another one where we could see a new coach in New England, which would be, I'm pretty sure, the first time I've ever seen a coach not named Bill Belichick coach the Patriots. I think so. I don't know when Belichick took over. It was at least in 2000. I was born in 99. So, I mean, I don't remember the rest of that year. So, I was born in September. So, I don't really know. There could have been a coach that was the coach then that was not Belichick. I could be wrong. Who else? Maybe the Bills? If the Bills fail to live up to expectation, do they go to Jim Harbaugh? That's the question. I don't know. A lot of options, though. A lot of options. So, yeah. I think with this Harbaugh thing, do I really care that he was suspended? No. I mean, he wasn't really, like, it didn't really matter if he could still just not coach the games and he'd still win. But, like, I guess I'm happy to say that if he does end up staying, he will probably be suspended for longer. And I guess I shouldn't say I'm happy to say. That's not exactly right. I'm not exactly happy that he's suspended. I am not surprised. But and again, we actually don't really know. I'm going to assume they're going to lay the hammer on him if he ends up coming back, but I don't anticipate he's coming back. I think he's going to go all in and say, you know what, NCAA, I'm going to go take a very long walk in the opposite direction. So that is that. But we do have, you know what? I will briefly, yeah, you know what? We'll do the rest of the NFL stuff, and then we'll briefly do some baseball, and then we'll wrap it up with some preseason predictions. So, Mr. Bill Belichick has been busy. He decides he's going to go full crazy old man, and he's going to sign the free agent Ezekiel Elliot to a 1-year contract worth up to $6 million with an M dollars in incentives. And I am just sort of taken aback by this, Mr. Belichick. I'm just going to pull up Mr. Ezekiel Elliott's numbers because, look, I'm going to just, I just, Bill, Bubby, buddy, what are we doing? Okay, so Zeke Elliott is a solid, what will be 4 seasons removed from his last Pro Bowl back in 2019 when he rushed for 1,300 yards and had 12 touchdowns. Now, to be fair, he did have 12 touchdowns this season. Problem. He had 876 yards. And also, problem. He had 4.5 yards per attempt in 2019. He had 3.8 yards per attempt. His yards per game in 2019 was 84.8. His yards per game in 2022 was 58.4. The point I'm trying to make here, if you don't understand, is Ezekiel Elliott hasn't been good for the greater part of the past 3-4 years. Like, he either hasn't been able to stay healthy in only playing, this year he played in 15 games, only started in 14 of them. And he's just not, I don't understand why. Like, here's the thing, okay? Jerry Jones, he had something with Ezekiel. He loved this man, and he let him go. And for some reason, Bill seems to think that if Jerry Jones doesn't love someone, that means that he must love him in response. Now, Jerry Jones is a buffoon, and Jerry Jones would love any player, regardless of how good they are, and usually, especially in the past decade, likes players who are actually have no reason to be paid the amount of money or praise the amount that they do. And Jerry Jones didn't want this guy back, apparently. He didn't want him back enough to, Jerry Jones could have given him a 1-year deal, apparently. Right? That's all it took was a 1-year deal. And I guess it was too much for Jerry. He didn't want to do it. And Bill comes in and he's like, you know what?
Well, I don't get the rain man comb.
Thank you, Lou. That's exactly what he was like. He called him up and he said, and then that translated to, you're here for 1 year, $6 million. I don't understand this signing at all. And I'm like, I look at the past few seasons of the Patriots where they have been either incredibly boring or incredibly bad or both. And is this just like good old Uncle Bill? Like, you know what? I've won like 6 Super Bowls or however many Super Bowls. Is it 6 or 7? I think it's 5, actually. Brady won 6. I don't remember. Anyway, I've won a bunch of Super Bowls and haven't won a playoff game since Tom Brady left me in the dark, in the dust, in the dank, dark, evil caves that is New England. And was that a fair ball? No, it's a foul ball. I'm sorry. I got distracted by the Tigers game. And he's just sort of making things up at this point. He's just trying to figure it out. He didn't really know what's going on. And I feel like if you're Bill, you're really like, look, it's not a long-term deal, so it's not like, whatever. He signs with a 1-year deal. It's not going to sink the team for the next 3-4 years. But I'm still like, Bill, maybe when Brady left, you should have just said, you know what? You're going to go this way. Okay. I'm going to walk the opposite direction. I'm just going to leave. But I guess he couldn't do that. I think there was a part of him that was like, oh, I don't need Tom Brady. I can show these guys I can win without Tom Brady. And fast forward to how many playoff wins? Yeah, that many. So yeah, and then here's the other thing. The other signing that I found at least sensical was this Dalvin Cook signing to the Jets. Now, in that case, you have a young running back in Breece Hall who should be ready to go next year after an injury ended his season last year. And he was a really good back last year. Probably the best part of that offense, not named Garrett Wilson. And of course, Zach Wilson, a masterclass performance of Zach. And you add Dalvin Cook, who is a solid running back. I mean, let's pull up Mr. Cook's numbers. Pull them up. Dalvin Cook. Just last year, 1,100 yards, 4.4 yards per attempt, 8 tutties, 264 rushes total. Can't be upset with that. 4-time Pro Bowler he is, and he was just a Pro Bowler last year. He's the same age, so there's that, but he has not declined nearly as much as Mr. Elliott. Like, if he would have signed Dalvin Cook, I would have at least been like, okay, well, it's a good running back. I suppose they're trying to see if they can keep themselves alive in this playoff push. Maybe they're going to base their team off the run. All right, fine, fair enough. I don't get it. I don't get it. The only thing I can say about the Dalvin Cook signing that I might not like is that I don't really know how good the Jets O-line is. But I don't even think the Vikings O-line was all that good anyway. So Dalvin Cook is probably going to be fine. Brees Hall did fine with whatever O-line they had last year, and that was certainly not good. So I got no reason to be upset or scared for them. Other than that, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be a little disappointing. That's just me, though. But I guess my question is just like, why, like, is Bill Belichick just like, is this just like, is he just so like obsessed with trying to prove it wasn't Brady, guys? It was me. I was the mastermind. And it's like, look, it was probably a little bit of both, but seems like Brady able to have a lot more success without you than you were to have success without him. So it's always interesting though, looking back, because obviously he was fired from the Browns job. And then he went to the Patriots and ended up being Bill Belichick. But it is kind of interesting to think about, though, right? Like, the Browns fired him. And now he's without Brady on the Patriots, and he doesn't really look great. I don't know what his exact winning record is without Brady, because obviously he had a few years where Brady was injured, or a few games and stuff and such where Brady was injured. But even if that is the case, even if maybe he was once a good coach, he's certainly not a good coach anymore. I just like, he's smart. He's not like he's ill prepared, but I just don't think he is the caliber of GM coach that he once was. You can just see, like, the team is just unimaginative. He's basically just running with his boys. Like, he's just running with all of his failed head coaches. He's just bringing them all back, and they're just gonna try to finagle their way into a playoff spot. I mean, look, I'm sorry. If you have Matt Patricia running your offense, you're basically just committing football suicide. You're like Terry Bradshaw.
Think he'd commit suicide or something.
That's right. You're like Terry Bradshaw. You just think he'd commit suicide or something. That's right. And I just don't really, the Patriots, for like the first time in my life over the past couple of years, are like an incredibly boring team. It's not like you're particularly scared of them. I mean, the Lions ended up losing them last year, so then it goes to show that. But even then, like, you look at a lot of the games, it's like the offense is boring. The defense is just there, so I give them that. But I don't know. Something doesn't sit right with the Patriots, and I got nothing more on that. Did Akil Badu just get caught stealing? Oh, that's great, Akil. I look and I see a ball flying across the pitcher's mound from the catcher, and Akil Badu is about 5 feet from second base. Boy, that was a late run there, Akil. Twins legend Akil Badu, by the way. Rule 5 from the Twins. But yeah, I think I pretty much ranted enough about Mr. Belichick, Coach Belichick. So, very briefly, because baseball is still technically going on, I want to talk about baseball. I'm wearing the Tiger stuff, so I might as well talk about it. So, very, very briefly. Tigers, last week, take 3 out of 4 from the Twins. Feeling good. Feeling like, okay, well, we're still alive, technically, I guess. All right, let's have some fun. Let's see some good stuff. And then we lose 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox. Erod decided, you know what? I'm going to let my former team stun on me. And they did. They did just that. And Tarek Skubal, it's funny. Like, Skubal and Erod, the two pitchers where I was like, okay, those guys, they're like automatic wins, basically, right? I know there's no such thing as an automatic win, but those guys are going to give us the best chance of winning. And Matt Manning, give it or take. Meanwhile, Manning pitched the best game out of the 3 of them. Like, he pitched like a one-run game, and the offense just came alive that day. Kerry Carpenter, hitting like a billion home runs to Torkelson. Torkelson went 4 for 4. He was having a great game. And then we just lose. We just lose 2 out of 3. And it's like, look, I don't think the season is by any means still alive for the Tigers. I just want to see something interesting. I just want to see, like, it's good to see Kerry Carpenter get home runs. It's good to see Spencer Torkelson get home runs. It's good to see Riley Green hit the ball hard. But, it's pretty much all I'm looking for. And so right now, playing the Twins, no score. It's a 2-game set. We already won the season series with the Twins, which is amazing because the Twins are actually in first place in the division and ostensibly the best team in the division. What's also weird is the Tigers this year, they actually have a winning record against the AL Central. I'm pretty sure. I guess we'll find out by the end of the season if that's still the case. But as of right now, they have a winning record against the Central, which bodes well for our chances to win the Central potentially next year, depending on what the roster makeup looks like. But I don't know. Not much I can say about them. They're playing decent ball, but they're not particularly exciting. But the big story in the MLB this week came from Wander Franco. So Wander Franco, 22 years old, raised shortstop, really good player, really fun player. Apparently, somebody on the social medias, I don't have the original post because it's in Spanish and I wouldn't be able to do much with it. Apparently, somebody accused him of being in a relationship with a 14-year-old back in Dominican Republic. I think that's right. I think that's where he's from. Wherever his home country is. I could be mistaken. I apologize if I am. And so I have an article about this woman, and she is a public enough figure, and the article is treating her as such, so I'm not trying to dox her or anything. I'm just pointing out what her name is according to the social media ad, or according to the not social media ad, according to the article here. And the title, who is Loredana Chevalier? Probably mispronouncing that. And why is she accusing Wander Franco? What we know so far about the identity of the alleged victim. Okay, so so there's several things about the story that are weird. So immediately the MLB is like, all right, this guy is going to be put on the restricted list. We're going to investigate this thing. So they're investigating this thing, and obviously people go to Twitter to figure out what the heck is going on. So this is from some guy on Twitter at Samson Juan. I don't know who he is, but apparently he's finding posts from this girl, this Chevalier lady, and he's saying, and I quote, that alleged 14-year-old girl that is being accused for on Wander Franco, I don't know if that's correct grammar, does not appear to be a 14-year-old. She has a daughter that appears to be around 18 to 24 months old. This is looking very awkward. So I won't show the screen or whatever, but there's posts of her wearing a very revealing dress, which certainly a 14-year-old should not be wearing. There's also pictures of her posing with her daughter, I guess. The caption is in Spanish. I don't know what it says. Amor de mami, love of mom. I took high school Spanish for like 2 years. What do you want from me? And then another picture of her daughter in, I don't know, like pajamas or something. I don't really know what she's wearing there. I can't really. It's like it looks like exercise gear, but she's like a child. I'm not gonna comment on the wardrobe of this girl. But further, we also have another post from at Wander's World, which I'm assuming is a Wander Franco fan account. So maybe take for that what you will. And I quote, according to the alleged victim's Instagram, and then it lists her Instagram page, she has multiple posts with her baby. She also has a post driving a car / having alcohol in possession. To drive a car and drink in the Dominican Republic, you have to be 18 years old. Hopefully this means Wander is innocent. So looking at these pictures here, she is clearly front seat behind the wheel of a car. There's a bottle of vodka in her hands. Probably not a great look. Also, like, they didn't mention in this post, she's just got a bottle of vodka with her in the car. Now, I'm not saying she was drinking and driving, but it's like, why would you post a picture of you in front of a wheel and then be like, hey, by the way, guys, I got this alcohol in my. I'm not gonna drink it or anything, but maybe I will. Maybe I'm just crazy enough. Moving on. there's also the same pictures of her with her daughter and all that. But so all this is to say that I don't know if Wander Franco is innocent. I'm leaning on saying that he probably is. And the reason I'm thinking that is because, from all evidence, this woman is not 14 years old. Now, for one, I really hope that the MLB exonerates Mr. Franco because obviously getting put on the restricted list, he's not getting paid. And he personally came out on a live video. I think they have it in the article. Let me see if maybe they do. Yeah, so this is from Wander Franco on Instagram Live. This is what he said. They say that I'm in public with a little girl, that I'm running around with a minor. People don't know what to do with their time. They don't know what they're talking about. That's why I prefer to be on my side and not get involved with anybody. Now, this is my only problem. It's kind of a lame thing to say. I mean, what is this like? It's almost like it sounds very deflecting. And it's like, oh yeah, please. What they're saying that I'm with a minor? They're saying they don't know anything about me. It's like, dude, I get it. You're probably upset that people are accusing you of basically being a pedo. But here's what you probably should say. And look, I get it. He was on Instagram Live. He's just sort of talking. I'm not, Monday morning quarterbacking this, but probably shouldn't be saying anything. Right. And if you're going to say something, just say, look, the allegations are, not true. I'm not dating a 14-year-old girl. This person is slandering my name. If you're gonna say anything, say something definitive that, exonerates you. Don't say oh, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm not there. They think I'm dating a 14. Really? They think I'm dating a 14. It's like, it'd be like, you don't. If somebody's accusing you of some sort of misdeed, you shouldn't just sort of scoff at it. You should very definitively and honestly and consistently say that's not true, or just don't say anything. Just let your lawyers talk, or just let the MLB do its investigation and the truth will come out, and then move along. Don't worry about it. Because if you're innocent, which I suspect he is, it's better to just not talk anyway, right? Or just be utterly confident and know for a fact this woman is lying about, or whoever this woman or whoever is accusing him of whatever is just lying, and there's evidence against her claims. So, yeah, I don't really see this coming out as there were some people who immediately were like, oh my gosh, she's a pedo. And I thought that was like, whoa, hold on. Let's relax. Let's see what happened. And more information we got, and the more and more it just seemed, no, this is definitely just a awkward situation where I guess this girl, I don't know if they're still in a relationship. I'm imagining probably not. And she maybe it could have been the case that when Wander was 16, he was dating this girl. I don't know. Or maybe when he was 18 and because she's 18 now and he's 22. So that would, yeah, okay. Actually, that actually is entirely possible. He could have been 18 and then dating this, 14-year-old girl, which is not the same thing as 22-year-old Wander Franco dating a 14-year-old girl, because that's basically I mean, I'm not saying it's great, but I don't think it's a pedophile situation. But regardless, Wander Franco, hope that this situation resolves itself, and hopefully, the end is nigh for this whole situation. I mean, this whole if you're the Rays, you definitely want Wander Franco to be available sooner rather than later, as playoffs are going to be starting here in a few months. Now, if you want to call this some simple rest time for Mr. Franco, even though he's not hurt, yeah, I guess you could do that. But look, they're still technically in the race for that division, so I don't know. We'll see. But that's pretty much all the MLB stuff, because we're in the dog days of summer, and my team sucks, and the Padres also suck. So don't have a whole lot to say about them. So, that's all we got this week as far as news. So, it is time. We are going to take a look at our preseason Pick'em League this week, week 2. Let's see. Open it up. Yeah. Seth obviously is not here this week. But last week, Seth, unfortunately, he fell to the might of me, of Michael, the future teller, the psychic, whatever you want to say. I got a word from the future, and it told me I was gonna get these picks right. I don't know why it didn't tell me all the rest of them, but it did. So last week I got 9 games right. Seth, fortunately, only 5 games right. So we're gonna do preseason week 2, and we're gonna take it away. We're gonna see what's going on here. I got some more music we can play here in the background. Let's put it around there. Maybe that's good. Yeah, let's put it this time. Whatever. We'll call it that. So, first matchup we got. Hold on. Oh, this is 2022. First matchup we got. Thursday Night Football. This Thursday, the Browns heading to Philadelphia. Who do I have in this game? Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't know who's going to start quarterback for the Browns. I don't even know. Did they win last week? They did not. They lost to Commanders. Oh, Miguel Cabrera just hit a home run. Did he really? Wow. I actually can't believe that. He really just hit a home run. Huh. Crazy. But we have Browns Eagles. Eagles ended up losing in a heartbreaker last week. The Ravens, though. I know Seth. I believe Seth took the Eagles. Let me pull up his message. Yeah, okay. So, Seth took the Eagles in this one. Okay, I forgot. Or, actually... No. Seth took the Eagles. I think I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. I don't really anticipate the Browns are going to look great. I don't know. I mean, like, I saw some report that apparently Deshaun Watson was throwing, like, 3 picks, which is, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But, look, I don't really know who they're going to pull up with as far as backups go. And Browns really haven't looked great most of the preseason. Again, it's preseason, so I'm basically just flipping a coin, but, yeah. Up next, we have the Panthers heading to New York to play the G-Men, the Giants. And the Giants last week, we got a good look at them. They did not look amazing. They showed very little strength offensively, but they're going to be going up against a much different team this week. They're going to be going up against the Panthers, who ended up losing, even though Bryce Young got the start. And I don't know if they've named Bryce Young the starter for the year. I think they have. But I don't know if he's going to play. I really don't. I think I'm going to lean on... the Panthers this one. I think the Giants, they just didn't really show me enough to where I'm all that confident in them. But I'm not sure. Seth has the Giants. Go. Up next, Falcons? Bengals taking on the Falcons. So, this game, Bengals ended up losing last time. They really did. They looked like not good against the Packers. And the Falcons, they ended up winning last week. They ended up beating the Dolphins. And this time they're going to be at home. So, I'm actually going to go with the Falcons on this one. I think the Falcons just looked like... I mean, again, I didn't really watch, but look, they ended up winning the game, so they had to be the better team. Look, I'm going to go with the Falcons. What do you want from me? Seth is going with the Bengals. Up next, the Jaguars taking on the Lions. Do I even need to talk? We're talking about the Lions, okay? Look, The Lions this week, they're going to pull out with Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to be a much better quarterback. He probably plays, I would imagine, potentially the whole game, maybe just the first half. And I think Jameson Williams is going to look a lot better this week. Hopefully this guy does not drop another ball. I think they're going to send him some more targets. I think he's going to have a solid game. And I think we're going to win the game. Jaguars ended up having a nice win against the Cowboys, but they're going to have to play the Lions in Detroit. I think this is going to be a good game for Detroit. And taking a look at Seth here, he has the Lions winning this game. Very good game. Very, very good. Up next, the Dolphins taking on the Texans. So, the Dolphins last week obviously ended up losing, but the problem is the Texans did end up winning the game, but CJ Stroud looked abysmal. He looked very, very bad. That O-line was terrible. And because of that, I've got to go with the Dolphins. I don't see a world where CJ Stroud is going to have a good time with that O-line. And I imagine he's going to get another start. He hasn't been named the starter for the year, so that means we're probably going to see him again this week. And that makes me just go for the Dolphins here. I wasn't very confident in what I saw from CJ Stroud. And Seth is also going to go the Fins. Bills at Steelers. So the Steelers looked pretty darn good. George Pickens connected on a pass from Kenny Pickett. Nice play for a touchdown. I actually really like the Steelers, how they looked last week. I didn't really watch them, but I liked what I saw from the highlights. Kenny Pickett looked like he was okay. Now, with that being said, I don't anticipate Kenny Pickett is going to play again, or if he will, he's not going to play for very long. I just don't really know. I mean, we're talking about backups, okay? I can only use so much information, guys. What do you want from me? I'm going to go with the Steelers. It's in Heinz Field, you know. Probably not that unusual to imagine a win here. Let's see. What does Seth have? What does Seth want? He wants the Bills. Okay. So, Bears at the Colts. Look, last week, I gotta admit, Bears looked pretty good. I did actually watch some of this game. Justin Fields and DJ Moore connected for a big-time play and made the entire Titans defense look like utter buffoons. Anthony Richardson has already been named the starter, so he's not going to play. Which means we're going to get Gardner Minshew. Minshew mania, baby. I'm going with the Colts. I know there's no reason to choose the Colts, but it's the preseason, and I will never pick the Bears. Never going to happen. Never catch me picking the Bears unless it's against another NFC North team. Then maybe. Seth is going to go with the Bears to my sadness, disappointment. I do. But he doesn't listen. Buccaneers at the Jets. Now, the Buccaneers look terrible. Last week, they did not look good. But the Jets also... Not great. Not great stuff. I mean, they ended up winning the game, but they weren't like... I wasn't particularly impressed. With that being said, Jets probably look better than the Buccaneers. I'll go with the Jets. I don't know. Why not? Go with the Jets. Come on. Jets. Come on. And Seth is also going to go with the Jets. So, up next, we have the Patriots taking on the Packers. Hey, man. Look, I got to give credit where credit's due. Jordan Love didn't look terrible. And Patriots are just, like I said, the most boring team ever, and they didn't look amazing. They looked about as boring as ever. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers here. And it pains me, but I'm trying to win, okay? I'm trying to get the roast predictions right. What do you want from me? So, I'll go with the Packers. I believe Seth also took the Packers. He did. Titans at the Vikings. Titans looked awful. Will Levis, he was fine. Defensively, though, that team looked very, very bad in the first half. They made it a little interesting, but weren't able to finish the job. But the Vikings, did they win that game? I don't think so. No, they did not. They lost to the Seahawks. That game was at like 11 at night. I had no business watching it. I guess if I'm choosing from teams that are... I mean, the Titans are so bad. I gotta go with the Vikings. Sorry. I know I said like I wasn't gonna pick NFC North teams, and meanwhile I just chose to not pick the Bears because I'm a cool person. Seth also takes the Vikings. Chiefs at the Cardinals. Yeah, I mean this is not a question. Even though the Chiefs blew that game against the Saints, it's not a question. I'm going with the Chiefs. Seth is also going with the Chiefs. It's not. We're not doing it. We're not playing games. Stop it. Okay? Cardinals are awful. I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if it's regular season. They're bad. They're very bad. Broncos heading to San Fran, taking on the 49ers. The Niners look absolutely atrocious. Okay? Now, not that the Broncos look much better. They also ended up losing to the Cardinals. And it was basically which team wants to be worse that day. And I guess it was the Broncos. And I'm sorry, but you lose to the 49ers, or you lose to the Raiders in a blowout fashion. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I'm doing it. I'm going for the Broncos. I'm going for the Donkeys. Seth going with the 49ers. Oh, what happens there? Raiders Rams, little Thursday night football rematch. Baker Mayfield, comeback victory, but now he's not on the team. That's how highly the Rams thought of him. Seth is gonna go with the Raiders on this one. I'll go Raiders. Rams got their behinds kicked by the Chargers, which was to be expected. But Raiders look really solid, and honestly, I'm gonna go with Seth. I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I mean, they look locked and loaded. Now it is, Josh McDaniels, but hey, performance is performance. What can I say? That's what it is. Cowboys at the Seahawks. Look, I'm just gonna make this quick. I'm going with the Seahawks. I hate the Cowboys. I'm never picking the Cowboys. Go with the Seahawks. They're. I don't know. I don't have to give a reason. You don't deserve a reason. No reasons are given. Cowboys, they're gonna lose this game. Seth, he is gonna go with the Seahawks as well. Saints at the Chargers. At Seth's Chargers. Okay? Look, Saints, they had a gutsy win. I'll give them that. Really gutsy, solid win. But I'm not gonna pick. I don't have the. I didn't pick them last week. I'm not gonna pick them this week. I'm going with the Chargers, and obviously, Seth, I'm going with the Chargers. Finally, this is actually the first nationally broadcasted preseason game. Not the NFL game. Is that a home run? No, it's not. I got a little scared. This will be the Ravens taking on the Commanders. Now, the Commanders they won the game, but they were very boring. The thing is, Ravens never lose in preseason. So I'm going with the Ravens. Okay? Going with the Ravens. They didn't fail me last week, and they're not going to fail me this week. Give me Ravens. Seth, also going with the Ravens. So, round it all up here. Go. Round it up. Here we go. For the Browns, Eagles, we are both taking the Eagles. Panthers, Giants. Seth taking the Giants. I'm taking the Panthers. Bengals, Falcons. Seth taking the Bengals. I'm taking the Falcons. Jaguars, Lions. We've both taken the Lions. Dolphins, Texans. Both taking the Texans. Bills, Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers. Seth taking the Bills. Bears, Colts. Seth taking the Bears. I'm taking the Colts. Buccaneers, Jets. We both take the Jets. Patriots, Packers. We both take the Packers. Titans, Vikings. We both take the Vikings. Chiefs, Cardinals. We both take the Chiefs. Broncos, Niners. Seth taking the Niners. I'm taking the Broncos. Raiders, Rams. Both taking the Raiders. Cowboys, Seahawks. Both taking the Seahawks. Saints, Chargers. We're both taking the Chargers. And Ravens, Commanders. We both take the Ravens. That's going to round out preseason week 2 picks, and it's going to round out the show. So, slightly shorter show. Actually, it was about the same length. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It was a shorter news week, but I will also point it out. I will be back this Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time when the Lions take on the Jags. I'll be back doing play-by-play and analysis. It'll be live reaction. We'll have a lot of fun. We had some fun last week. Some decent ball played. Comeback victory for Detroit, playing the fight song a bunch of times. It was great. Everyone had a grand old time. So, yeah. Hope to see you there, 1 p.m. So it'll be a mid-afternoon game. So won't be any of these evening games, and it won't be, on a Friday night when everybody's, doing all sorts of things that I won't even mention. So we'll be back next week, and hopefully Seth will be back next week as well, and we will be able to discuss the second week of the preseason, because I was curious. I wanted to know how he felt about his Chargers the first week, but I didn't watch the game, so I couldn't comment on it. But hopefully we come back and we're going to have some great talks about our teams, and hoping to see another Lions victory this Saturday, taking on the Jags. So hope to see you there, and I will wrap up the show and see you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody, and talk to you.